It's impossible not to mention the lawyer, well, the most famous lawyer of recent days, Paweł Korzeniecki. He is wanted by the police. There is a warrant out for his arrest. You remember, because a lot of people were interested in this, in 2021 there was an accident. The lawyer is driving his Mercedes, let's say a fancy one, because that's important in this case. He crosses to the other side of the road and collides with another car, an Audi. There are 2 women in that car. They die on the spot. The fact is he causes the collision. It's his fault. The fact is 2 women die in this accident. The whole process begins. Basically, the next stage, the next phase of this process is what's happening in these last days, but almost 5 years have passed since then. So the speed in this case, I would also say, is something to consider because it's been 5 years. But the trial court handed down a sentence. The lawyer was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Let's also remember that the crime he is being held responsible for is causing an accident resulting in death by negligence, as it is defined. But the penalty can range from 6 months to as much as 8 years. In the first instance, the lawyer gets 2 years. However, on appeal, the court is more lenient with him and he gets 1 year and 6 months, which is 1.5 years. The court reduces his sentence. But why did the court do that? In my opinion, the lawyer is fighting to avoid going to prison. However, if the sentence is up to 1 year and 6 months, a year and a half, then he can serve the sentence in the so-called electronic monitoring system. So, to put it simply, there's a fundamental difference between him going to prison and probably facing harassment from other inmates there. Well, he will be like any other inmate, so there will be various kinds of risks. And it's something completely different if he serves his sentence at home simply with an electronic bracelet on his ankle. He can walk around the house and he can also go to work, and that's what he's fighting for today. If the sentence were longer than a year and a half, then he wouldn't be able to get electronic monitoring. A final judgment has been entered. It's usually the case that after such a judgment, the convicted person receives an order to report to the prison. Well, that's so, as they say, to serve the sentence, but the lawyer didn't do anything like that. He didn't report to the prison. The police say they went to his house because in such cases the court issues an order for the police to bring him to the prison. The police say they went, but he wasn't at home. So they issued a wanted notice. The neighbors say they saw the lawyer over the last May holiday weekend, exactly on May 3rd. He came by bike and then went somewhere again, so it looks like he's simply around. Today, well, the police also got criticized for not detaining him. When I look at it, it really seems like the police took the path of least resistance. Because, well, they went to his house, but they didn't find him there. They made a report the next day. They had a wanted notice issued, but where was the investigative work? Where was the stakeout? Because after all, he was there, right on the spot. So they could have easily detained him. So I think criticism is justified here as well. The fact is, the lawyer is now being sought under a wanted notice. He's hiding. What's his strategy? Well, I think there are 2 possibilities. It could simply be that his lawyers, they have now applied to the court for him to serve his sentence in the electronic monitoring system. The court hasn't made a decision yet. So maybe he'll be waiting for the court's decision. If that decision doesn't come, then he'll probably want to go into hiding, even if it turns out that he didn't show up today. But if he gets permission to serve his sentence in the electronic monitoring system, then the fact that he didn't report to the prison is not a crime in itself. It's not a crime. It may influence some court decisions, but it's not a crime. So I would say that he's not really risking much in this situation. We'll see. The police say they're doing what they can to detain him, that they even know where he is. However, if he's somewhere in Poland, then he should have already been detained. However, it's possible that the lawyer will still try to somehow avoid actually serving time in prison. And that's all the commentary I have on this story for now. And of course, take care.